Hey guys, my name is Matimio, and recently I've been thinking a lot about the medic class in Battlefield 4, and more specifically, balancing their equipment, so the defibrillator and the med pack, because in Battlefield 3, I think that DICE did a decent job balancing these two accessories out, but at the same time, we also run into some problems, and they cause some issues, medic trains being one of them. And so I've come up with a couple of ideas and a couple of suggestions that I would like to see in the upcoming game that I think that would solve these issues, but also give us a lot more diversity within the class itself when we are playing as a medic. And so my first idea is with regards to the defibrillators, and the only way that my suggestions are going to even make sense is if they change the way that this mechanic works, because as of right now, it's a little bit too overpowered. When you're able to revive 5 people in front of you almost instantaneously, there isn't an animation that you have to go through, there is no like charging up or anything like that. You can just put the paddles to the ground and revive 5 guys in a couple of seconds. That's a little overpowered. And another thing that's a little bit ridiculous is that when you do revive someone, they go from 0% health, near-death experience, all the way to 100% health. It's like 2 seconds ago, you were about to die, and now you're at tip-top shape, you're ready to go like nothing happened. It's not only goes against everything that would happen in real life, but also is just a poor game mechanic. Why is it that if I get all the way down to 1% health, I'm still alive, and I sit by a med pack, it's going to take a longer time for me to sit by the med pack to get to full health, instead of just peeking out for a second, letting myself die, having an ally shock paddle me up. I'm going to be at full health faster by dying and then getting revived. That mechanic in general just seems a little broken. And so what I suggest is that for the upcoming game is that they have, first of all, an animation so that you cannot, or some sort of period, a recharge period, so that you can't just constantly and instantaneously revive 5 allies in front of you. You can maybe revive 1 or 2, but then there's going to be like a 5 or 10 seconds recharge in between the next one. And then my next suggestion is that when someone does get revived, they get revived with maybe 40 to 60% health. And I think if you did this, this would solve a bunch of the problems that really just make it so that you don't have as many problems with the res trains, which is an issue for Battlefield 3. So now that we kind of got all that established, my next suggestion is to have more customization for these accessories themselves, because as of right now, the only way that you can really customize your soldier for your class is to change the different attachments on the weapon, different weapons, but you really can't do anything with the med pack or the defibrillator. It's just kind of like, well, you can either use it or you cannot use it. You can maybe use a crossbow instead, but that's about it. But what I would kind of like to see is to have more customization for the equipment themselves and not just the weapons. So a couple examples that I kind of came up with is that the defibrillator could be upgraded. Maybe one upgrade could be, instead of reviving an ally at 40% health, you could revive them at 80%. Another example is, because we've nerfed how often you can revive people, or the frequency, because it has to recharge or you have to go through some sort of animation, you could have an upgraded version that will recharge faster, so you can get more dead allies up quicker. This could also be transferred on over to the med packs. Bad Company 2 had a really cool med pack customization. One option that they had was that the heal radius was larger, so you didn't have to stand so close to it. Another option was that it had an increased heal rate, so you'd be healed faster. And then what I kind of came up with is that you could maybe have 2 med packs on the ground. So if you had 2 ally groups that needed some health, you could sustain both parties. So now you might be wondering, how in the world would you balance something like this? And in reality, all that they would really need to do, all that DICE would have to do, is adopt what they did with Bad Company 2 system, or do maybe a pick 10 system like they did for the Call of Duty franchise. And if they did that, it would open up so many more possibilities and differences in the class itself, and not just between classes, that I think would add a new layer that we do not have in Battlefield 3. So for example, if you want to play as a Rambo medic, you want to have a really tricked out weapon, you can do that, but the weakness of that is that you're not going to have the best defibrillator or med pack. But on the other hand, if you want to really play as a support, you really like the idea of helping between your team, reviving a lot of your allies, and playing that more supportive role, but not having the best weapon in the game. You don't have the best shot to begin with, but you still want to play with your friends, then that option is also there. And so I think if they adopted this system and made a bunch of these changes, not only would we have a lot more differences in variety within the classes, but it would also solve a lot of the problems that we currently have in Battlefield 3. So yeah, guys, those are my ideas that I would like to kind of see changed in Battlefield 4 with the equipment for the medic. But I'd like to get your guys' opinion. Do you think that these are good suggestions? Would you kind of tweak some things, or do you think I'm just completely off my rocker and you think they're completely terrible? Let me know down below in the comment section. But yeah, guys, that is about it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and so until tomorrow, have a good one and take it easy.